Okay, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to call to order the Haymarket Town Council regular monthly meeting at 7:05, 7:06.
Roll call.
Roll call?
DNA,
Here.
Pasanello.
Here.
Pater. I'm sorry. Pater.
Here.
Larson. Schneider. Ramirez.
Here.
Gallagher.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we will now have the invocation given by Pastor Tim McGowan from Living Presbyterian Church.
Hey,
You're
thanks.
welcome.
Would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, thanks so much for this beautiful evening. Thank you for the town of Haymarket, for our state and our nation. We thank you for the freedom we enjoy here. Help us not to take it for granted. Lord, and the liberties that to practice or abstain from the things that we aren't forced to do, Lord, help us to remember that not everyone in the world enjoys such. Thank you for the material blessing we have, and make us mindful of those who don't. Lord, we thank you for the peace we enjoy here, and we pray for places like the Middle East and Ukraine that don't enjoy that. We are so blessed. Thank you for Haymarket Day and the wonderful event that was a few weeks ago, and for all that made it happen. I pray for our town and these officials, law enforcement, council members, mayor, vice mayor. Thank you for the sacrifice. Pray you give them wisdom in the decisions they have to make, humility to make them well, integrity in everything, Lord. Help us as citizens to remember to serve and love our neighbors, whether we agree with them or not. I ask all this in the name of the one I serve, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to Councilmember Ramirez with the Youth and Government Program.
Thank you. Ms. Kirazi, I sent over the updated PowerPoint. Were you able to access that? Okay. Please.
This one? No. No.
Sorry, guys. I appreciate the patience. I wanted to update the PowerPoint to reflect the final votes of our Youth and Government Program. And while I have the stage, I'll just talk about it. These youth participants came in super eager and ready to learn and go through the function of government, and it was really awesome to see these kids, for lack of a better word, thrive in that opportunity. It was very cool to see their leadership skills shine, and I really hope to do this again. So, yeah, just TikTok.
Had some good personality.
we had really great participants. yeah, so I'm excited to see what their feedback will be and how we can improve it to make it an even better experience for more in the future and possibly move up into the next age bracket of high school. I'm just going to go ahead and speak to what the program was like before we hop into the slides about what they ended up doing. So we opened up the application process late August until late September, and we got 14 applicants that applied. And keeping in mind that this was in the beginning of school, so there were a lot of adjusting to new schedules and new sports and all sorts of things. So we hope that in the future, the word of mouth for this will be better and we'll get more applicants. But with those 14, 10 of them came from Reagan Middle School, which was really, really cool. We also had 2 or 3 students from Gainesville and 1 from Bull Run. So I think we're really going to try and reach more students in those lower represented schools, but shout out to Reagan for having such a large showing. All of these students did such a great job. So the layout of the program was a 4-week experience. The first week was where they would come and meet with staff, what we called mentors, and Vice Mayor and Mayor were also here, and Chief was here as well. And they all sat down with the students and explained to them what their roles were and how it would apply to the scenario we created for this program, which was how to improve our community park space. And the initial survey that the town had actually sent out over the summer received quite a lot of feedback regarding a desire for dog parks, desire for a splash pad, or a desire to extend the playground itself, the equipment. So we encouraged the participants to debate this openly, and they ended up coming up with their own agenda, which was the second meeting where they learned about how to hold an efficient meeting, what Robert's Rule of Order was, and yay, the PowerPoint's up now. They also made their own agenda in that second meeting. So this was the format that you wanted, right? The PDF? Okay. All right. So yeah, the intention was just to make government accessible. That's how many participants we had. We can scroll on down a smidge. Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right, we can go to the next one, please. All right, so October 6th was when everybody met and learned about their roles. And then after that, on the 23rd, they learned how to run an efficient meeting. On the 30th, I opened the floor to them and they hosted their own work session and they had some healthy debates. The mayor actually chose to open the floor for discussion from the staff participants as well. So that was really cool to see them do that and consider everybody's opinions in that. It was interesting to see how they wanted to run a meeting a bit differently than we do. And then tonight, some of you got to see them hold their vote, which was actually really cool. They ended up having a substitute vote because they were stuck in a tie and the mayor didn't want to make the decision. So it was actually very, very, very cool to see them go through the process of learning the roles all the way through to holding their own meeting and coming to a vote. We can go ahead on. The scenario, as I said, was improvements for the town park. We can continue down. So the meetings would be up for discussion next, where they had their own agendas. And if you go down, we'll see the topics that they discussed at their work session. Whoops, too far. Go up 2 pages, please. Yep, that's the council meeting. Up one more, please. Thank you. Okay, so they wanted to actually discuss a concession stand at the park, which they were very, very focused on in that first work session. It was actually, or I'm sorry, the meeting agenda setup, they really were discussing that heavily. So that was the first thing they discussed. They also wanted to address the idea of a multi-purpose athletic field. And then they also wanted to, out of respect for the survey feedback that we received, they were willing to discuss the community dog park, the park extension, and water features, they called it, because they weren't necessarily sure a splash pad would be the avenue they wanted to go. In their work session, they decided that they needed more information than what was given to them initially, so they gave their staff some homework, and it was to create a interest survey for the multi-purpose athletic field to determine what sport people were most interested in. They also wanted expense details for various athletic field options, which is something that we created and gave them. And then they wanted to know the cost of an ADA accessible swing, which the treasurer actually went home and researched. And then they wanted to also discuss the idea of a park name. That was not actually addressed at the final council meeting, but it was interesting that that was part of their thought process. We can move on, please. Ultimately, they ended up cutting the concession stand. They couldn't figure out whether they wanted to actually have a town-provided concession stand and all that entailed, or food trucks. I think they wanted to table that discussion for a later debate. They did go into detail about the multi-purpose athletic field, as well as the dog park. However, the dog park ended up being tabled as well. Then they decided there was no interest in the playground extension. However, they all felt it imperative to ensure we had ADA accessible swings. And then they also cut out the water feature because in their findings, it was financially irresponsible at the time, considering our budget and the amount of water use and things like that. You can continue on. So it came down to them providing their own motion. And so the first motion was put forward by Councilmember Chapin, who moved to create a small dog park with a soccer field inside of a track field. Councilmember Chapin later amended to include the ADA accessible swing set to the motion. There were 2 ayes and 2 noes, and there was 1 councilmember absent, at which point a new motion was put to the floor. And Councilmember Brewster put in a substitute motion where we had the ADA accessible swing set and a soccer field inside of a track field, and then also added in a pickleball/tennis court for us old people, as she so eloquently put it. And that motion ended up passing, and we kind of ran short on time because they again opened the floor to debate to include the staff, which was wonderful to see. So instead of their council member time, I asked them to fill out some cards about what they loved most or what they wish was different. And so their feedback ranged from, it was so fun, they had their own mics, they loved that, they loved the t-shirts, they loved snacks. This person's very food oriented, but also really loved getting to meet people. They loved being able to voice their opinion. Let's see. Somebody had said they liked the discussions, but hate substitute motions and ties. So that's all very fair and valid. Yeah, I mean, most of the feedback is really excellent. I think these students have learned a lot, and I really look forward to hosting this event again. I do want to take this moment to thank Alex and Emily specifically for meeting with me weeks on end and planning this. There was a lot of thought and invention in the beginning, and I deeply appreciate your time and effort. And Tracy Lynn, thank you for your support and consultation and all the things. We wouldn't have been able to do it. I want to thank all the mentors, from the town clerk hosting one of the meetings herself to talk about the role and meetings and everything. That was crucial. Roberto, thank you for mentoring, even though it was not your desired efforts for the night, but I do appreciate you doing that. And Chief, thank you. Thank you for coming in multiple meetings and supporting these students and giving them, feedback and support as needed. So I also want to thank Ken, who's not here, because he came and mentored them as well. And I think everybody got a really good experience out of it. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, so why don't we move on to our Haymarket Day recap? Sorry, Joe.
If I may, I just have a question for Councilmember Ramirez.
Yep.
Maybe I missed it, but on the second motion, did they include the ADA swing? And what was the final tally?
Yes, the substitute motion did include the swing, and the final tally was 3 yes, 1 no. And the mayor did not vote, and there was 1 that was absent.
Roger that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to do the recognition part of this next item first, real quick. So tonight I wanted to spend just a moment and recognize 2 of our staff who recently had work anniversaries. Sorry they're a little delayed. So Chief, congratulations. Thank you for being here 2 years. For that. Chief loves sweet tea. I wasn't planning that our Chick-fil-A was going to be closed, so we did go over to Gainesville. But Chief, thank you for all you do for us here at the town and for your community. It is definitely appreciated and recognized, so thank you. And then Kim, Kim's been with us for 4 years, so she just celebrated her work anniversary over the weekend. And we have a little plant for your office or your home. So we just wanted to recognize both of you for all your hard work you put in here at the town and know that you're appreciated. So thank you all. And I'll turn it over to Rachel, who's here tonight. If you guys haven't met Rachel yet, she's our event coordinator, and she's going to talk to you about Haymarket Day and what a great success it was. So, Rachel.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So, despite the wind and the very few small hiccups we had, Haymarket Day was very successful. Everyone was very happy with how it went. I spoke to many of the vendors. They were all very excited. They told me it was the best Haymarket Day they've ever had, which was great. And kind of walking around, all of the comments I heard from just the passerbys, everything was very positive. So yeah, and I would really like to thank everyone in this room for all of the collective knowledge of Haymarket Day. It really got me through it. Chief and all the officers, all of the town staff, including Matt Burrows, he was a godsend that day. He was everywhere all at once. And of course, council and all of our volunteers, they were instrumental, as well as the Boy Scouts, or the Scouts. They made sure our streets were clean and beautiful the whole day long, despite the trash cans kind of flying everywhere. They were phenomenal, as well as Park Valley, who just made our kids zone beautiful and fun. Everyone was ecstatic with all of the things they brought, and they just made it that much better. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Are there any questions specifically about Haymarket Day or any upcoming events while Rachel's here?
Yes.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. You did an amazing job.
Thank
It is
you.
not a small feat, and you were very professional and organized, and it was great. I got a lot of positive feedback, so thank you.
It was the largest event I've done in my career, so I was really happy with how it went. I think it was a great day for everybody.
It
So
really
thank
was.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We're good? All right. So we will go on to citizens' time. Is there anyone wishing to address the town council?
Evening, partial town council, acting mayor, and the top half of Joe's head. You really need to adjust the camera. Okay, that's better. Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive, and tomorrow we'll determine for how long. Sort of just want to remind you guys, I know you know it, but if anybody else is listening or watching before tomorrow is election day, and regardless of your political persuasion, please go out and vote if you haven't already voted. Please put an end to the god-awful commercials on TV from both sides. I'm tired of it. I just want this election to be over and the campaign ads to cease. A couple of things. I'll give you an update on some interesting things that are going on in the county. If anybody's not aware, and I don't know how anybody couldn't be, the initial gateway votes or the initial gateway hearing will be Wednesday afternoon. For the Planning Commission, my over-under on it is 34 hours of public hearing. We'll see how that goes. That is assuming, of course, that the judge doesn't issue a TRO. There's a case being heard at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning to issue a temporary restraining order for an individual who's filed. Regardless of how that happens, we'll see where it proceeds from there. Tentatively, it's scheduled to go before the Board of County Supervisors in December, I believe December 13th, and we'll see how that goes. As one might expect, county budget season is coming, my favorite time of year. So if you've got anything you need funded or defunded, and I use that word carefully, please give me a yell if you got anything that the county needs to take care of or that you'd like to see handled. Call Rebecca in my office. Don't call me. She's the one who really runs things. I'm just the figurehead who sits behind her. I wish those kids that came in actually served on the county board because, quite frankly, they appear a little more intelligent and fiscally responsible than my fellow board members. I like the kid who voted no on everything. I need to meet him. Chief, you need to find out where he lives and groom him for future public service. It is interesting how they came together on this, and I love the one that doesn't like substitute motions as someone who makes them a lot. Not my kind of council member. Last but not least, and this is just a personal note, for the love of God, please move Haymarket Bay back to September. Please. Joe, you heard that, right?
I heard you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bob. All right, so we can move on to the consent agenda. I will make note that Marchant is on his way, running a little behind. He would like to be here to discuss item number 2. So if we can move item number 2 to 3 and 3 to 2, does anybody have any objections?
Are we talking about the agenda?
Yes, under the agenda items. So the policy and procedure revision,
Right.
would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
No objections?
No objection.
Okay, perfect. All right, so would anyone like to pull anything off of the consent agenda?
Do we need meeting approval?
Any of the reports?
Yes, Vice Mayor, I'd like to pull that town treasurer report and police chief report.
Okay.
Not quite.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion, Madam Vice Mayor.
Okay.
I move that the Haymarket Town Council approve a consent agenda A12, B1, 4, and 5, and C 1 through 5.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? Good. Motion is carried.
Okay. Roberto. So the question I'm about to ask is in relation to, I don't know how many of you know, it looks like our nation experienced the fifth bank failure in 2023, Iowa Citizens Bank. So looking at the statement of net positions, in terms of the amount of money, I see here TFB General Checking, 1,647,000, what have you, right? Are these single accounts?
Yes, that is the general checking account. That's part of the reason why we're also, later on in this agenda, we're discussing about moving some of those funds over to its own account, some of the funds over to convert them into a CD or premium money market.
Okay. And again, I understand, in terms of FDIC, I think every account holder is insured up to $250,000. I don't know I know it's applicable to individuals. I don't know to businesses or what have you, but again, I'm bringing it up as a concern. Do you know what, in terms of the FDIC insurance, do you know if there's anything above and beyond the 250K?
So for us, we've been insured, but through our banking that we will be insured for the full amounts that we have with them. But if you want, I can verify it and have Stephanie write up a report that I can bring back to council to assure what exactly they were sure when it comes to the town accounts.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Did anyone else have any questions on that report?
I do. I'm going to follow up on what Councilmember Bien asked. And I'd like to ask him his concern also. Does it have to do with the bank itself being maybe one bank, or would you like to see a consideration of a diversification among other banks?
Diversification among other banks if our coverage, FDIC coverage, is limited to $250,000 per account. And I think that's per bank, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, all right. That's a fair question, and we'll work with Roberto and see where we are.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone? No? And then on to the chief's report.
Chief. Couple of questions. Out of town activity, I see we had 30 activities, if I'm not mistaken, 21 backups. Under out of town activity, 21 backup and other. What falls under other?
Other can be a trip to the courthouse for paperwork. It can be an attorney meeting with the Commonwealth attorney or the town attorney or a defense attorney. Any incidences like that would be considered other.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Page 34, I see that the average response time has been going down. We are at 1 minute, 10 seconds, which is, I think,
yes,
we're doing good.
That's a good response time.
Yes.
And of course, there's a lot of anomalies that can be thrown in that. If you had one complaint, just one, where the officer had already made an arrest and was, say, at the courthouse or something, and that can shoot up. But fortunately, our calls for service have been pretty static to where we always have somebody available or who is clearing from a call. And then keep in mind that it is an average. So you might have an officer who just is on patrol, happens to be a minute away. And then in other times you might have an officer that's 5 minutes away or clearing a call. So it is an average, though.
Okay.
So it's a good average.
It is. And I think if I had to guess, in comparison to at the county level, I'm not sure. Do you by any chance know what the average response time is for county?
I do not. I wouldn't want to guess at that, but it would be much longer.
Longer, okay. And this highlights one of the benefits of having a local
Correct.
police department, right?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the advantages.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on to page 35, August, September code violations, and also looking at the year-to-date code violations.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to, I noticed that when it comes to failures to stop at crosswalk, there isn't a whole lot of violations that have been identified thus far. And I can tell you that from personal experience, I've had situations where drivers are not yielding or did not yield to me or my family members. So
Correct.
just curious as to,
We have started addressing the crosswalks specifically in our patrol, our traffic patrol. But I will note that an officer can write for failure to obey a highway sign on it'd be the same statute, or it would be a different statute, but the same charge. So a lot of times it's just, they go to that easier, the one that they know. But to track that, if you would like and council sees fit, I can obviously put out a memorandum to say, hey, if a violation does involve a crosswalk, right under the crosswalk violation instead of just the general failure to obey a highway sign.
at least on my end, I think I would like to see that.
Okay.
Because that gives us an idea.
Not a problem.
Okay. And then going back to page 34, I see that you included backup support from outside agencies. You're tracking that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir, and keep in mind that when you first asked me to, we only had a couple of days
Okay.
left into that. That was like 1 week left into it, so I didn't track it for that 1 week. We started fresh at the last reporting period, so that is a full month of that, because it would have been skewed. It wouldn't have been relevant, or it wouldn't have been accurate data to show a picture of the whole month. So on that scale on the graph, you would have always seen this huge dip because it was only 1 week of tracking. So, but now we are tracking that, and you will see that in that normal page area.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Thanks.
So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Chief, I wanted to follow up with the crosswalk pedestrian safety
ma'am.
discussion. I'm wondering if you have in your mind already some preventative measures that we can possibly embark on to ensure pedestrian safety, particularly crosswalks, or, I mean, just in general.
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, of course, and we, like I said, we are concentrating our patrol on that because we have received some outside complaints as well, citizen complaints. But I have been in communication with the town manager on some upgrades that we both feel would be beneficial. And of course, you know, my priority has always been keeping this a pedestrian-friendly town, and it will remain that. Of course, the wheels turn slow. Funding and then the build out and VDOT dealing with a lot of those different facets. But we do have a plan that we want to see move forward, meaning the town manager and myself. And we will be moving forward with that, of course, with council being along for the ride to see what we're doing, what we're planning. But we do have some things that we think would be beneficial in keeping this a pedestrian-friendly town, especially with the traffic that's going to be only increasing on our west side with the current Crossroads project.
Yes.
And we are also tracking data down there with traffic. And I did reach out to VDOT this last week because there's another tidbit that I want to track as well that they can assist with.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on their response now. I mean, we've been back and forth. I'm just waiting on their final, yes, we'll do this, and this is the date that we'll start.
Okay, so VDOT has been responsive and supportive in your efforts?
Early on, yes.
Okay.
But of course, we haven't put any meat and potatoes on the plate yet. We've just been discussing basically some issues the town manager and myself had, along with some council members that had displayed some issues with some of the turn lanes and the markings and the signage, and it was kind of confusing. So yes, they've been receptive so far. No issues. No issues.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then it actually brings me forward to some traffic concerns, which I think that you might have addressed, but I do want to put it out there for discussion. Have you or your officers noticed like vast amounts of traffic congestion at certain points in time?
The largest portion that we've noted, and we have been watching that, myself included, to try to get a feel for it on how the flow is. Of course, I'm sure that there's some VDOT engineers that could do much better than me. I just throw common sense at it, but between 4 and 5 is our real slow period to get through town.
Okay.
And that's when we really see a lot of the backups. In the morning, we see some sporadic ones.
Okay.
Which you would expect, especially when school's in session and things like that. But the evening one just seems to be almost deadlocked sometimes.
Yeah.
To the point where will have to intercede or try to assist to get the traffic moving.
Right.
So,
So in that 4 to 5 p.m. time frame, are you implementing that part-time support that you had, the traffic support?
Not as of yet. And I am waiting on this one facet because that's what I need is a breakdown on the time of the traffic at its highest points and what volume that we're seeing on that. I can go ahead and implement that, but I can tell you with the DMV grant as well that we're going to interject some of that programming in the same time period. So basically, we're providing that service, but we're offsetting the cost to the grant.
Okay,
So.
awesome. I appreciate you thinking ahead on that. Please keep us advised as to any information you might get from VDOT and how, if any, it might affect your budget. Because I certainly think that pedestrian safety is a top priority here on this council, especially for me in particular. I can speak to that. And also, I want to be able to turn out of my neighborhood safely without feeling like I'm going to get smashed and T-boned.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would appreciate, you just sharing that information as you get it. But thank you so much for initiating that and following up.
No worries, glad to do it. I will just make sure, I don't know if Town Manager Krause has anything to add, anything I might have left out. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, just if there's anything that you can think of that might need to be added to our discussions.
I know one of the things that I'm currently working on our park sidewalk RFP is a full crosswalk study for that area, going from, so when they put our sidewalk in, we'll have 2 entry points that are properly installed. So it would be going from the main entry point over to Coach Way, I think it is. So we're doing that full study. With that full study, we're asking our engineers to look at kind of the Taj Mahal of crosswalks so that we have an understanding of all of the different resources in our bucket of tools to see how can we improve our sidewalks. So we're going to look at it in the study, then we're going to talk internally and decide what makes the most sense for this area. Hopefully that's something that we could then use as kind of a pilot to implement at our other areas. And then with that, I know that Joe and I had talked with the county, and they have the Safe Streets for All grant program. We'll circle back with them, but they'll be able to provide us some assistance as well when it comes to just general road improvements and pedestrian safety.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys are putting a lot of thought and effort and energy into this, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Yes, and Joe did have his hand up, so I just want to make sure we saw that.
Thank you.
Oh, to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Good questions, good discussion. Hey, Chief, time flies when you're having fun. Congratulations. I wish I was there to congratulate with you.
I still get to see your smiling face, but thank you. I'm happy to be here. I really appreciate it.
Okay, great. I wanted to, and you kind of touched on it a little bit when we were heading and talking about some implementations of when we were talking about the response time, but also, the pedestrian safety as well as some of the other metrics that you have in your report. So, did you want to talk a little bit more about the DMV and what exactly you're thinking about targeting with that grant?
Correct. As you know, that we did get approved for the DMV grant, and we're going to be moving forward with that this month, actually initiating, even though the grant period started October 1. We wanted to make sure that we got through Haymarket Day and got all of our proper paperwork squared away and tracking that. But as far as that, I can see that there is certain time periods, obviously, that we have to work the grant hours. And what I want to do is interject that time into those high traffic volume areas and time frames. So that would better offset the cost to the locality and the local taxpayers from our part-time budget and offset it to the grant as much as possible. I'm not saying 100%, but any offset is a good offset for the town of Haymarket. And then we will continue to target all of the grant info and all the grant areas that we need to during our next year for that.
Super. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else? No? Can I get a motion to adopt? Section
Yes, I'll make a motion, Town Council adopt item Bs 2 and 3.
Motion.
Second. Second.
Perfect. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, so we will move to our agenda items. The first item on the agenda is the budget amendment. Roberto, do you have any updates?
Good evening. So the budget amendment in front of us is what we had discussed, and that is basically to pay for the stolen check. The only update I do have is that we have officially filed the claim with our Versa Insurance. We are covered through our general liability insurance. It's actually the crime, under the crime coverage. And just so once we get a final result from it, I'll make council aware. But as of right now, we have filed. We're just waiting to hear back from them. Submitted all the paperwork. With that being said, though, we do need to make the repayment for this vehicle that the chief we do have in hand. So this is basically to make that payment for a second time. To be transparent, we went ahead and created a line item called stolen check because that's what it's for. Also for audit purposes. So the amendment is just asking to move funds from the adopted budget, within the adopted budget, the CIP fund expenditure line item into that so we can go ahead and make that payment whole, hopefully this week.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? No? Joe, are you okay? Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make
so-
a motion.
Yes, please.
Okay, I move that the Haymarket Town Council approve an appropriation to the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget as designated by resolution number 2023-014.
Second.
Perfect. Is there any discussion before we go to vote? No? Roll call, please.
Aye.
All right,
Yes.
Aye.
All right, so we're going to switch the agenda items. Hopefully Marchant will be here shortly. So the next item will be the Prince William County Stormwater Grant Match.
Yes, I wanted to take just a moment to catch our two newest council members up on this topic. So let's see, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it seems like, we as the town and the council were interested in getting some assistance from Prince William County Public Works Department to evaluate our stormwater management system or the lack thereof. So we currently have several stormwater management systems that should be run by HOAs that are possibly showing some failures just due to age and overall maintenance of those. We have one system specifically that is not under an HOA management, but should be managed and maintained by someone. This HOA did not come to fruition. It's down off of Jefferson Street in the what we call the 18th century homes. So those are the homes that are on the south side of Jefferson Street facing east, and then they wrap around onto Fayette Street. So what we did is we worked with the county. We had a team of their stormwater professionals come out. They walked some of the area with us. We were able to show them some of the flooding that occurs all the way from, I would say, midsection of Fayette Street north of Washington, all the way down Fayette Street, and then in between those homes on Fayette and Jefferson. So they were able to provide some general insight without, looking at the entire system in its whole. And they ultimately guided us towards applying for this grant or working with them so that we could get grant funding and then do a further analysis and assessment of the overall stormwater. So with that, we have received assistance from them. There has been a grant that was accepted or that was approved. And so the county has reached out because we agreed to a local match with them. Excuse me. And so they wanted to ensure that the town is still okay to make this local match. The local match is for $40,000. This is something we had talked about in our previous discussions. They will be taking this matter to the Board of County Supervisors on the November 28th board meeting, and that we are hoping to, they'll follow up with us in December for that payment. So I just wanted to bring it back up with everybody, put it back on your radar, let you know we'll be looking forward to making that payment, having their team help us do the assessment, work with their contractor, and learn more about our deficiencies and what needs to be done. And who, hopefully, get a strong sense of whose responsibility all of these systems are.
How long will that assessment take, do you suppose?
That I'm not entirely sure of. I can get with them and determine if they have a rough timeline of weeks, months. I would assume they would come out and do a hefty amount of field work. It's also work that Katie, our town engineer, and I will probably go through pulling some site plans and do some of the field work of sitting with them and the site plans of what should have been built, the as-built showing what was built, and talking through that portion. So I know just the field work alone will probably be several weeks.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Mary? Mary? Did you have your hand up?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Emily, I have a couple of questions.
Sure,
Is that okay?
please.
So this analysis that they're going to be conducted is to determine who's responsible for what ultimately, or?
So to determine some of the failures, so
Yeah,
what
yes.
we were having happen, for example, is in this summer it did not occur as much, probably because of climate change. But like last summer, if you remember some of those really heavy torrential downpours we would have on Washington Street, just right outside of Town Hall, we would get pretty significant flash flooding and sheet flow. So a lot of water going off of our parking lot, off of other surfaces, straight into the curb and gutter. And then we're having several inches of standing water, and as cars are driving by, splashing up. That was traveling south down across the hotel site before it was built, but also during construction. And then it gets over to Payne Lane, so on the other side of the hotel, where it was funneling into, and I'm going to get the name of this piece wrong, but a culvert, if you will. It was funneling into a culvert there that was then pushing it further down Jefferson Street between Jefferson and Fayette Street homes. So it's pushing it further down. And then when you get closer to the railroad tracks, it comes out onto Jefferson Street, probably about 3 houses up from the Fayette Street intersection. And at that point, it would flood out down towards the railroad tracks and that last house on the left before you cross over the railroad tracks. So if you're familiar with those summer storms, we were getting that last house would sometimes have water all the way up into their front yard, up near their steps. So one of those issues, a bigger issue, is that flooding in that area, figuring out what the deficiency or the failure of the system is. If it's just not at capacity. I do know along Jefferson Street, Fayette Street homes, some of the homeowners have taken it upon their own responsibility or lack thereof to remove the stormwater riprap that was put in place. So riprap refers to those very large stones that are placed that help the water flow. Some of the homeowners have completely removed that. Some of them put in fences without permits covering this area, creating dams and blocks along the stormwater easement. Some of them, there was lack of maintenance in this area. So that could all lead to some of the problem. In other areas of the town, we have problems with new construction that's gone in over in the Fayette Street area has impacted properties further down the line that are just pre-existing homes, residential homes that have been here. So again, it's, they're managing stormwater on this site. They built it out to spec according to what the engineer required, what we required, but it's now impacting properties further down. So looking at some of that assessment as well. We're hopeful that maybe this assessment will give us some answers that maybe this is something the council could think about, possibly set aside funding for maybe small grants or some opportunity to do some kind of assistance. But again, it all depends on what the county assessment says. I do think it's going to be a hefty undertaking over the span of many years. I don't think this is going to be a quick fix. When we look at stormwater and the civil engineering plans that we get for new construction, they're pricey.
So if outside of the town limits, within the county, if somebody experienced the same problem, would the county take responsibility?
The county does. So
okay.
the county has, on your county bills, you have stormwater fees that you're paying in your tax bills. And so it is run differently within the county.
Okay.
There's county ownership and maintenance. Some of our HOAs, I will say, they do follow what was required of them, and they do their inspections. They submit their inspection reports to the town. They keep their stormwater ponds clean. They ensure their curb and gutter areas for stormwater stay very clear. So we do have some that are very high functioning and have done very well.
Okay. I think we had touched upon this previously, but in terms of that additional fee for stormwater management, I guess the town residents don't pay that to the county?
That's correct.
Okay.
And there could be opportunity in this greater assessment to have a conversation with the county of, what does our system look like? Is there any assistance that we as a local government within the county can get from them? So we'll have all those conversations, and I'm hopeful that, there might even be an opportunity to bring someone in to speak directly to council or have meetings down at the county. I'm sure our supervisor can help us make that happen as well. But we can facilitate different conversations to figure out the best assistance or ownerships.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Emily.
Anything further? Anyone? No? Joe, are you okay?
Good.
All right, awesome. So Marchant is not here.
So I just got a text from him. His ETA is 8:20.
Mm.
I don't know if you guys need to recess for 15, 20 minutes, or if you want to just continue on.
What would we like to do? Is there a possibility can he phone in?
Possibly.
Okay. If we could consider that as an option, since he wants to voice an opinion.
Do you want to take a 5-minute recess and we can
Yeah.
Sure.
We can.
figure
You
that
want to
out?
do, you want to do council member time and then?
Okay.
Councilmember Khan?
I am fine with that. Are you guys open to that?
Yep.
Okay. So council member time.
I know I
Councilmember
usually
Ianni.
don't say much, but something I think I know some of you watching are, in terms of the election, are making a decision as to whether or not to vote for me. But but so that what kind of person I am in terms of in relation to what is happening in the Middle East, right? I can tell you that I'm not one who supports any types of actions that ultimately results in civilians being killed, hurt, what have you, right? I'm not taking sides here, but just so that you know what kind of person. You cannot justify. I know some call it as collateral damage, what have you, but that's just sad. Just my heart goes out to those that have perished, those children, especially the children without mother, father, sister, brother, what have you, right? The innocent, the civilians that are feeling the brunt of what's been happening. Again, I'm not taking sides. I think there's a saying, 2 wrongs don't make it right, right? But I thought I would, get that out of my, share that, but thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Passanello?
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Okay, so I have a few things. First, congratulations, Kim, and again, the chief on your anniversary. I'm glad you're with us. Again, thank you, Supervisor Weir, for earlier raising awareness about tomorrow, which everybody should know about. Please go out and vote. Our precinct is Tyler Elementary, and the hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So get out and vote. Special thank you to all who participated in the Youth in Government presentation, especially the youth. Had some great ideas. Looking forward to getting some more feedback when you debrief on this. Just hopefully it was worthwhile for them as it was for everybody else. To what Alexander had mentioned, I'll just say, just keep everybody in your thoughts in Israel and Gaza. And also in our community, we have some folks who are from Nepal. They've recently had another earthquake. And please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well. And finally, today is World Let's Stop Shouting Day for 2023. It's a day for respectful and constructive communications. So I think it's very appropriate, especially in this day and age, that we have a day like this. Other than that, stay healthy, everyone. Hope to see you guys soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilmember Ramirez.
Thank you. I already said my thanks to those who helped support the Youth in Government program. Just want to again say what an honor it was to get to host that, and I'm looking forward to taking in all the feedback from the exit surveys and moving forward with bigger and better. Please go out and vote tomorrow. I plan to vote for Councilmember Bayane here. He has my full support and appreciation for stepping up. It's been a big job, but you've been doing a great job, so thank you. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Gallagher.
Thank you. So first off, I'd like to, on a personal note, I wanted to thank the staff and thank the council. As many of you know, immediately upon my appointment here, my mother did pass away, and I appreciate that everybody on the council sending flowers and recognizing that for me. It's kind of a bittersweet moment. My mom, many of you know, my dad was a politician. My mother was the real politician behind him. Supervisor Weir, she would love you because she knew how to yell and scream. So she certainly would kind of never shy away from a fight. But the last thing I actually was able to tell her was that I was appointed to the council before she passed. So it was something that was very nice. I know that it was special to her. So that's on a personal note. I just wanted to thank everybody for recognizing that. Secondly, I just wanted to, in addition to Election Day this week, we have Veterans Day coming up. I wanted to thank all of our veterans in town and in the surrounding area for their service to the nation and for what they do. Personally, I know it's a special day for me as I have several family members who are veterans, and I plan to recognize them with a cup of coffee or a beer or something like that. So just remember to thank a veteran this Friday as well, and thank you to all our town veterans. That's it.
Thank you. May I table Councilman Snyder until he gets, okay. 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 All right. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, reiterate how important your voice is, and the way to express that is by voting. So please get out and vote. Thank you for your service, Chief. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Kim. We would be lost without you. Super excited about Haymarket Day. Again, I cannot reiterate how exciting and what a success it was. The Art Alliance program is still doing very well in the museum, so please make note, stop by and support. We have 2 more Sundays for Farmers Market, and then we will be closing that season. We have a couple events coming up. Operation Santa Claus with the police department. That'll be nice. It's on the 16th, correct? 16th. Okay, and then we have our event December 9th from 2 to 6, so it's going to be lots of fun. And we had the ribbon cutting for Brewster's, which was amazing. And then crumble cookies will be on the 15th and peace and laughter on the 18th, correct? Yes. All right, wonderful. So there we go. Thank you. All right, so now we can go back into the, okay, perfect. So we are going to address the agenda item, which is policy and procedures revision, the payables policy. Roberto, do you have any updates?
The only real update I have, I passed it out today because I received some feedback from the finance liaison concerning the specifics on making it more clear as to when the mayor would actually be a signer. Councilman Pasanello, I will email you the copy they have here. Sorry, I didn't get it to you, but I will get it to you. But basically, just being very clear on the section where it reads on the amounts greater than 1,500, where it would trigger a second signature. Wanted to make it clear that on the finance liaison, there is one that reviews and one that signs the checks. If in case of an emergency, that the finance liaison designee that is a signer, or if the town manager are unavailable, the mayor would be the second signer on the checks when needed. Just wanted to clear that up there on this policy. But I feel that we have discussed it. I don't know if there are any specific questions, but what we're trying to do is just update the policy. The one that we currently is adopted is a 2016, which was very mayor, town manager driven. I think when you guys came into the position of taking over council, we try to clean it up and be more transparent as well as more fiscally responsible with checks and balances. So this is really what it is. It's instituting what we are already doing here. What we did add was the addition of due to the stolen check situation we currently have, we're going to increase our controls as much as we can, which is by anything that's $10,000 or over, we're going to do a register receipt mail. So that is something that was updated in this policy as well. I don't know if there are any specific questions on it, but I'm here to answer.
Anyone have anything that they'd like to discuss?
Yes. So in terms of the, requiring sending the, payments in excess 10,000 or greater registered mail, I'm not sure. And again, I can see situations where even though somebody received it, signed for it, still can end up being wrong in the, fall in the wrong hands, right? It could, right? So I'm not sure if this will fully address what we experienced. So I think, last time I mentioned whether or not it's possible for us to make electronic payments, right, whenever possible. But I'll just go ahead.
Councilman Bayene, yes, the thought is that whenever possible, if we're able to do ACH payments, online payments, we will go that route. Presently, how we do that too is we have our Anthem insurance. The finance liaisons always sees everything, even if it's online or automatic deduction. It's still presented to them so they can view it, see it. The one thing I can tell you is your question with this current situation, I did reach out to our general liability insurance, Versa, and we're trying to do everything possible, but one thing I can assure you is that we are covered under our policy, actually specifically for fraudulent and stolen checks up to $250,000. So that is something that I wanted to share with y'all as well, because we have filed a claim with our insurance in hopes to be able to recover it, if all the funds are close to it. Though you're correct, it could happen. I shared with you all last week that they've seen a 22% increase in these types of crimes happening with all municipalities. We have also stepped up our policy on our end. I also have stepped up the procedure of actually having a positive pay, which basically every morning I myself or the town manager We review the checks that are deposited or cashed against the account, and we have the ability to approve them or decline them. That is one thing that we did not have when this situation happened. So I'm hoping that's another layer of security that I hope would address that as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else? No. I also feel like certified mail puts a timestamp, so it's better able to come within the confines of any sort of a policy that we would need to submit for. Okay. All right, so do we have a motion for accepting the policy?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that the Haymarket Town Council accept the payables, receivables, and check signing policy with an effective date of November 6, 2023.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Vianney,
Aye.
Casanello,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Gallagher,
Aye.
All right, perfect, thank you. Is there any other business before the council?
Yeah, yes, there's one more.
Okay.
The discussion on transferring of funds. I know we discussed it last Monday. Again, the discussion is if with council's directive, I as a treasurer am able to move over funds from, two things. One is to convert our existing escrow account, which is where we hold bonds and proffer funds, into a premium money market with what the rates are at right now. It would make the most sense to do that. So that was one of the questions we were looking to get an answer from, hopefully tonight, if possible, to be able to convert that account from what it is currently, which is a checking, into a premium money market. I believe I gave you in the packet, there's a staff report that kind of breaks down the differences between the premium money market and a CD. The reason why I did that is to address the question Councilman Bayene had over the differences, and also if we would consider the second part of this, which is transferring funds from our general operating account, moving it over to a higher interest return account. And in discussions with the branch manager, I actually would recommend for this first initial transfer, if it's something that appeases the council, to actually set the first one up as a 9-month CD, just because of the higher interest rate. If we were to do that, it also will create a situation that by the time it matures, it'll be in August of 2024, which will be at the beginning of our fiscal year next budget season. So it'll be at the right, it'll be a nice timing. Say if we need to move monies or go into any projects, that those funds will be available.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Yes, and CDs, right, I think fall under almost like accounts, checking account, savings account when it comes to FDIC insurance. So I'm not sure what amount that we're thinking of. If you don't mind, if you can take a look, look into whether or not it'll be insured. If it's in excess of 250,000, as long as if that's taken care of, then yes, I'm good with that.
Okay, will do.
Anyone else? No? Joe, do you have anything?
Nope, I was hoping our treasurer, Roberta, would give us a recommendation, and I'm comfortable with it.
All right, so what do you need from us?
So my recommendation, if council would agree, is that if we move from the operating accounts, anything over the amount of 650,000 convert it into a CD account, that would mean that we would have to get the paperwork with our finance liaison and our town manager to sign off to create this account. That is one recommendation I would put out to the council for a vote. And then The other would be to convert the existing escrow account into a premium checking account.
Okay.
I apologize, premium money market account.
Money market, around 4%, we said, I think, last time, around 4%.
So the premium money market is at 3.93 currently.
Okay.
The CD would be a little bit over 5%.
Did you want to make, is it a motion, make a motion for vote? Yes?
Well, I was looking for a directive, but I'm
Okay.
not sure if we need a motion vote. More worth a directive.
Do you have a preference on option 1 or option 2?
Both. Right?
Both, okay.
I mean, both, right? Money market and then the
CD.
premium money market and the CD for 9 months.
And just to be inform you guys too, once we do this, I would be an additional report if and say when I move funds over from our general checking, if after the threshold of 650, I would report on it as to how much was moved into the account for that month. And obviously, we would see an increase on the interest side with both accounts being converted.
Can I ask for a favor before making a decision or, to do that? I think you indicated that you were going to talk to the bank in terms of what coverage we have. So is it possible to share that information with us?
Absolutely.
Right, because if we go ahead and do the CD and if it's in excess of 250,000 and we find out that we own the coverage limit is 250,000, it's not going to do us any good, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Would you consider if the finance liaisons, because we'll meet by Wednesday, we'll meet this week, I'm hopeful to have the information. Would you be comfortable if they were to be okay with it, to move forward with these 2 conversions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would report back to council as a whole as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. So are we clear on the directive?
Yes, I will go ahead and find out on the FDIC insurance coverage, and if finance liaisons are comfortable with it, we'll go ahead and move with the conversions of both accounts.
And we'll communicate back to council.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, any other agenda? Okay. All right, so that would conclude our agenda. So, yes,
Move to adjourn.
I've got a movement to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Meeting has ended at, wait, go ahead.
All in favor?
All in favor, thank you.
Aye.
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 All right, I guess it's 9:18, 9:19? 8, oh, we haven't switched the clock yet.
Chief.